Today we're going to be talking again with Jim Capobianco, and he has a new feature film he's working on. He's got a Kickstarter campaign going, and so here he is, Jim Capobianco. Hey, Jim, how you
Hey
doing?
Jim, I'm good. It's good to be back with you. We're making a new feature film called The Inventor. It's about Leonardo da Vinci, and we just launched our Kickstarter, and we're hoping to get a bunch of people signed on to join us as inventors, fellow inventors, to help us make this film a reality, to get it going and to really build a community of uh, fans and people who love animation, love history, maybe even love this period of time, the Renaissance period and Leonardo da Vinci. But film fans, animation fans who kind of want to see the process of one of these films come together from just from the very beginning of things all the way through production. So that's our hope. It's going to be like, I guess, like a 3-year production, and to have kind of a group of followers who are just sort of following along and seeing how these things come together.
This is the same. You started off with a short called Leonardo, which
Hmm.
is kind of evolved into this one now as like kind of a different journey of
That's
Leonardo.
right. That's
So,
right.
what made you want to do a feature?
So, like you said, yeah, I made a short film about Leonardo da Vinci that I finished 10 years ago, or maybe just over 10 years ago in 2009. Um, and that was a 2D hand-drawn animated film. And when I made that, I was looking for a short film to do, and I landed on Leonardo because had never seen a film about him done in animation that was kind of focused on him as a character and really explored him in a sense of all his foibles and of course his genius, but also that other end of it, which would have been like uh the struggles an artist kind of go through, and especially an artist in that time, or an inventor, somebody with an inventive mind like him at that time, where he would have been coming up with flying machines and
Mhm.
these crazy contraptions and ideas about anatomy in the human body and our place in the world that were just so opposite everything people were thinking in those days, and almost so much so that who could he talk to about these things if he brought up, hey, I got this concept about that we can fly and we can explore the moon is not a lantern of light. It is actually the reflection of the sun on the surface of, he thought it was the seas on the moon, but he got most of it right, and people would be like, what are you talking about? You're a nut, you're a madman. So he must have been pretty lonely in a sense, because who would he talk with? So these sort of ideas about him, the character of Leonardo, is what I wanted to explore, and I started to do that with the short, and that I mainly focused on him as an artist and the sort of journey artists go through, where you start with one concept, and in that case, it was that he had this dream to fly, and then it doesn't quite go the way you think it will, but it leads you to your next um, course, and it maybe leads you to something better than what you thought to begin with. So that's what I explored there. And then it wasn't that I wanted to make a feature film at first, right out of the bat, but about a year or so later, I started thinking about what else I could do with the character. And I had read so much about Leonardo da Vinci that this one area of his life where he moved to France at the end of his life
Mhm.
seemed really interesting to me, because it was like, well, here's a guy who lived in Italy, especially back then, all his life, right?
Mhm.
Just this one area. And at the end of his life, he moves to an entire different country, whole different set of people. What was that like? Like, what, emotionally, what's he going through? What's happening there? So I went through and researched that period, which there's really not a lot on that period, though where he lived still exists. This little chateau called Clos Lucé, or Le Clou, in Amboise, France, and it's right near the Castle Amboise. It's down the road from the castle. It's still there, and you can walk around it, and they've redone it recently to look more like the time that Leonardo lived in it. So I actually visited it and did research there, and so I just explored that and felt like, okay, I think there's could be a movie in this. So then I started developing that further, and I thought, well, I don't think it could be a CG film, just because I feel like it's Leonardo da Vinci, and it should have that, like the short was hand drawn, it should have a handcrafted feel to it. So I went into this kind of thinking either it should be 2D animation or stop motion animation. And then I thought, because stop motion too is that handcrafted, engineered, built quality, which seemed very Da Vinci like to me. So then I thought, well, what if it was both? What if you combine the two? And I don't know, throughout my career, I've always been combining animation forms, and I think this sort of continues that kind of concept. So, so that's how it evolved into becoming a stop motion film as well. Voices too, I should say. We actually have Stephen Fry is going to be the voice of Leonardo,
Oh, great! Wow.
which I think he's just perfect.
Yeah.
And then we've
Now,
also cast Daisey Ridley for the Princess Marguerite character, who's an interesting character and a real historic character to Marguerite de Nevers, who is the king's sister. She was a princess at the court and would have known Leonardo da Vinci, though there's nothing that I've found that talks about her talking about him. And what's interesting about her life is she did a lot of stuff where she supported the artists and created artists like salons where she'd bring artists together, and she's a really strong like female role in the film, and I'm excited to have Daisy do the voice. It'll be great.
wow, that's amazing. You got these two big actors that are going to be in this animated film of yours. That's great.
Yeah, well,
Wow.
we've got some others we'll be announcing soon, so we're pretty excited about our cast. Check out our Kickstarter campaign. If you can donate a little money to it, or we have some awesome pledge rewards. One really cool one we're promoting is a thing called Masterclass, and what we're doing is if you sign on to that, or you could even buy it for like a school or something like that, or donate it in a sense. We're gonna do a series of classes where we'll do like these Zoom classes, lectures, with each of the major creators of the film. And we'll go through, I'll talk about the story development and directing it. We'll have the lead animator talk about it. We'll have Alex Mandel, who's doing the music. We'll talk about music. We'll have each section, so each one will be its own separate little talk, and maybe we'll all come together and talk as a group about it. It sort of be an evolving thing, but it'll be a really neat kind of master class course in animation. And so we're offering that around 50, and we thought it was a cool thing. It'll be sort of a course like every 4 weeks or something. We'll do one, or every 2 weeks. We also have like artwork that you can get. One other cool thing, at a higher range, we have like prop. You can get a prop. You can be a puppet in the film. You could be a background character. So there's some neat rewards, illustrated script, things like that. So check it out. You can get something, and then you'll be also signed into our like updates and everything about the film and all this other stuff. So this is a very lower budget, and it's a big salad of all these financial avenues to kind of pull the money together to make the film. Our main studio will be in France. It's a studio called Folioscope, and they're near Lyon in Valence. And actually, interestingly, it's on the road that Leonardo would have taken to go from Italy up to Amboise. So it's right near there. So it's being made like very close to the history. So it's that's pretty neat. And they recently made a film called The Tower last year, 2 years ago, and they're currently making a new film about Italian immigration to the U.S. I think it's called All Dogs Are Italian, or Italians, or something like that. It's an interesting title. And then we also have the studio in Luxembourg is doing the 2D. And they've done a lot of work with Tom before on his films. So we have that group involved. So it's like everything's kind of coming together, and then the Kickstarter is just sort of like another little piece of the bigger pie.
Everybody who's interested in this, there goes that phone. See, they're calling already.
The phone banks are open, everyone.
Call now if you're interested to talk to Capobianco on the phone.
Well,
live. There he is.
I think it's a unique film, and it's a unique group of people, and I think it's a unique opportunity to see something getting pulled together in this way. So, as much as we can open up the hood of the car and show everybody the workings of it, we'll try to do that. And I hope people want to come along for the ride. It's kind of going to be cool.
That was a interview with Jim Capobianco. He has his Kickstarter campaign for the Inventor happening right now. So as soon as you stop watching me, I want you to go over there. I want you to give him some money, because help him fund his film, not just his film, but also show your support for 2D and stop motion animation. Before you leave though, could you just press this to subscribe right there, that button to subscribe, and then can you watch these 2 videos here? Yeah. All right. Thanks again. I'll see you later on Animateducated. So long.